The Icom ID-50, the newest HT in Icom's lineup, this time on Ham Radio Tube. So I bought this radio right before Orlando Hamcation of 2024. I received it the day before I flew out. So now I've had this in my possession for about 3 weeks. I have pretty much not left its side. I'm absolutely in love with it. I want to share this video with you. I want to show you just a quick overview. It's a little bit long. There's a lot of features in this radio to go over. This is just a general overview though, so keep that in mind. I will make subsequent videos and I'll make a playlist for this radio as I produce those videos. But I wanted to get this out because there's not a lot of videos on the Icom ID-50 to share with you guys. So if you're looking for a new Icom radio, I'm just gonna tell you, I highly recommend this. So here is the Icom ID-50 in all its glory. And the first thing people are gonna ask, what's the difference between the ID-50 and the ID-52? My answer is not a whole heck of a lot, and that's really one of the main things that drew me to this radio. First off, this is $200 cheaper, but the ID-50 is about a ½ inch shorter than the ID-52, so it's a little bit smaller. They're about the same width. The ID-52 has a color screen where this has kind of this monochromatic screen, and the ID-52 has Bluetooth. That's kind of about it. The menus on the ID-50 and the ID-52 are exactly the same. They're organized exactly the same. They're just, because the 52 has a bigger screen, you see more icons on it at one time. But I mean, if you have an Icom ID-50 and you have an ID-52 and you know how to use one of them, you know how to use the other one. They are exactly the same. But one of the biggest selling features for the ID-50 over the ID-52 is this port right here. This charges and programs with USB-C. That is a huge selling feature for me. Now, while they're not physically that much different, I also found the ID-50 just fits very well in my hands. I don't have very big hands, and this is just absolutely perfect for me. The body is incredibly rugged. It's made of this very hard plastic. I am not worried about taking this out in the field, dropping it. I already have dropped it. It's also IPX7 waterproof rated. Me and my friend Ryan, KF8IV, threw his ID-52 in the pool repeatedly with no problems whatsoever. So feel free to go swimming with this radio. Not telling you to do that, of course, because I don't want to be blamed for you maybe breaking your radio, but it is totally waterproof.
Sunday, north winds around 5 knots, becoming northeast late in the morning, then becoming southeast in the afternoon.
Taking a look around on the top, we've got our antenna port here, which is an SMA female, and then we have, this is the stock antenna that comes with it. Performance on this antenna is okay. It's not the best I've ever had from a stock antenna, but it's certainly capable. Then we have our transmit and receive indicator light there. It's red for transmit, green for receive. We've got dual knobs up here. The top knob, this is going to be our VFO. This is how we're going to change frequencies. And then we have our volume button here. The volume goes from 0 all the way to an arbitrary 39. On the left side here, the top button, the big one, we've got our PTT. Then we have our squelch button there to open the squelch for weak signals. We've got our power button. And then we also have our micro SD card slot here. And I have a 32 gig micro SD in here, and it's working just fine for me. Taking a look at the other side, here is our speaker mic input. Notice these rubber flaps have a really good seal. They're a little difficult to push back in even after 3 weeks, but I find that's a good thing. They're making a very good seal. And then over here we have our DC in and our USB. So this DC in, we can charge this 2 ways. This will accept 10 to 16 volts. And I've found that if you have an Evolve 3 laptop, that same charging cable that charges the laptop will also charge this. Now, I did cut my cable and put power poles on it, so I can just plug it into a power supply and charge it that way. Or I can plug a USB-C in here and charge it that way. Charging time is about 5 hours with this, so not terrible at all. You can also get an optional cradle that you can set it in, but for some reason the instructions say the cradle will only charge it to about 90%, which I find kind of weird, but whatever, it is what it is. One great thing about Icom HTs, they all use the same standard battery, so this is the battery that came with it. This is the BP272, which is an 1880 milliamp hour battery. It has a removable belt clip there. You just pull this little tab up and slide it out. So if this battery's dead, maybe I have my 705 with me, I can just take this battery off the 705 because it is the exact same BP272 battery. There's also a bigger battery they make you can use. Slide that on, put our belt clip in, and we are back in business. One of the best features about this, battery life. I am amazed at the battery life on this. When I was in Florida, I got this radio literally the day before I flew out for Orlando Hamcation. And when I got there, I had this radio fully charged and I used it for 3 days straight of waking hours. So I woke up, we'd leave the hotel, this radio was on. When I went back to the hotel, I shut it off for the night. I did that for 3 days and I accumulated about 28 hours of use on this battery. And that's not standby time, that's standby, and we're talking a lot. I mean, our group of people, we're 20 some odd people big, if not more. We're using these radios all 3 of those days I was testing, and I finally had to charge it, I think Friday at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I started Wednesday at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So amazing battery life on this thing. Taking a look at the screen itself, there's going to be a lot of different icons that can pop up depending on what's going on, but we've got our battery indicator there. We can see we have GPS. This connects to GPS, finds satellites very, very quickly. This little icon here lets us know we've got the SD card in there. There's our clock. We've got our main and our sub VFO. Here we have the menu button, which we can get into our menus that way, or if we long press it, we can lock everything so nothing works. I think the VFO, nope, the VFO doesn't work. I think you can set all of that in the settings there. This mode/scan button, if we just hit the mode, we can see we're cycling between FM narrow, DV, and FM. And this, a cool thing about this, maybe you want to do like digital simplex. It's so easy to do. Find a frequency with your friend, go into DV mode, and then on your other DStar radio, just go into DV mode and key up. That's it. We're now on digital. There's no other settings to do. It's amazing. Also, if you long press this, we now get into scan mode, so we can scan different options here. Let's just pick all just to show you. Scans very, very fast, and we can use the VFO to scan either up or down very simply, and then we just hit the PTT to stop scanning. The main dual button here, if we just short press this, it's going to switch between VFO A or VFO B, or we can long press this, and now we can see we got rid of VFO B, and it gives us a little bit bigger screen here. We also have some GPS data here, which you can kind of tell, you can set what data you want to have there. I like to have altitude and speed there just for whatever reason, but if you wanted to show your lat and lawn and all that stuff, you can. And we can also hit this, even though we're in this single mode or view, we can hit the dual button or the main dual button and still cycle between VFO A and VFO B. This VFO button here, this does a couple functions. So if we go into menu, it's going to serve as our back button. But it's also, if we're going to scan through the VFO, maybe I want to jump to another frequency faster. So if by hitting that, now you can see the megahertz is flashing. So we can just zip through here. Maybe we want to go down to airband. And so like 134,800 is a local airband to me. And we can get our airband just like that. And then we can go back to 70 centimeters or 2 meters or wherever you want to go, just like that. It is so fast to navigate with this radio. The clear call, like if you long press this, that'll go to your FM calling channel, which is nice. The memory write and memory read button here, this is what's going to go between, so if you want to go into VFO, you hit VFO. If you want to go to your memories, you hit that. That's also, if you're in VFO and you want to save a memory, you're going to long press this. You can write the memory to a new channel, you can write it to a selected channel, or here's also where you would manage your memories. Also, if we short press this, you can see we have weather. So here is all our NOAA weather frequencies right there. You don't have to program them in, they're already built in, and that's awesome. One of the coolest things that I found about this radio is this quick button. So if we long press this,
146.48 megahertz.
we hear the readout for any blind ham so you can know what frequency you're on. But if we short press this, now we get into this whole menu here where you can do a lot of things really quickly. So say for example, I want to select what band I'm on, change the VFO. So I can easily go back to 440 megahertz and very quickly, so let's set this to 446, go back to band select. I'm already on 146480, so that's a way you can easily switch between bands so you don't have to use the VFO. Then we can go down to duplex. You can have it either off, minus, or plus, so you can set your shift right there. You can also turn the tone on and off through this, whether it's digital or whatever, you can access that. So now tone is on. The one thing you can't do, which hopefully they will add this with a software update, is actually change the tone frequency. You can't do that here. So you have to go into the settings menu and turn that on, which is again, very easy. Here you can change your tuning steps. I like to keep mine a little faster. Here's an attenuation, DTMF. You got a voice transmit. You can check your GPS info, like what satellites you're hitting. You can check your GPS position. You can turn weather alerts on and off. So notice there's nothing on my screen now. If I turn weather alerts on, it shows WX. You can set a home channel. So right now I'm on, let's go back to, let's go to our band select, go back to 2 meters there. And let's say I want to set that 146.48 as my home channel, I can set that. And what that's going to do is as you're changing frequencies, once we get to 480, hear how that beeps? So that's just kind of an audible way to know that. So we use this frequency at Hamfest a lot. So you can just scan through here real quick. And when you hear that beep, you know that's what your home frequency is. I'm going to go ahead and clear that now. You can check your voltage on the battery. You can get your band scope here, single sweep or a continuous sweep. Yes, this has a band scope. Doesn't show much on 2 meters, but let's switch to 70 centimeters. And here you can see you have a legit band scope on here. So if you're in a new area, maybe you're looking for repeaters or activity, you can use this. Here, this is just all a bunch of white noise that I have in my area, but you can see like it's a legitimate waterfall on an HT. That's just so cool. This center jobby here, if we long press DR, that's how we're gonna get into DStar mode. Here you can see we've already got some people there. Talking on reflector 30 Charlie. We can hit the up button to select. So let's say I want to change the reflector. This center button is going to be what selects everything, and the VFO button is your back button. So let's select that. We'll go to, I'm already on reflector, and let's say I want to link to a different reflector. So we can just hit direct input, or here's some reflectors that I've used in the past. Let's just say direct input. We're going to use the VFO, and that's what's going to cycle between REF, XRF, DCS, and XLX. So let's just say I want reflector 1 Charlie. So we just use the VFO and the left and right buttons there. And we're already on Charlie, so we can hit the center button to confirm that. Goes to link to reflector, PTT that really quick.
Link to RE001 Charlie.
So now that's linked, and then we're going to take the VFO and just do 1 click counterclockwise to use reflector, and we're ready to get on DStar now. DStar, programming this with DStar is a whole other topic. I'll make a video on that. This is just an overview, and then we can long press DR to get back to analog. The low, LO here, if we long press this, this is how we're going to cycle between our 5 different power settings here. And this is something that I really, really like out of this radio because I use hotspots to access DStar. So this super low is 0.1 watt, which is great. This is the power that I use when I'm around my house talking to my hotspot. Then low 1 is a 0.5 watt, low 2 is 1 watt, mid is 2.5 watts, and high is 5 watts. So I really like that they put in that really, really low power for when you're using hotspots. That's a fantastic feature there. Taking a quick look around the menus. Again, Icom just nails it out of the park with their menus. They make it really easy. So you've got some voice record functions here for transmitting. You can record QSOs like this. Now, one thing I will say, go to record when you first get this, go to QSO recorder, go to recorder set, PTT auto record, and by default this is on. So I turn it off because basically every time you hit the PTT button, it's gonna record and it's gonna store those files to your SD card, so it'll take up space on there. Here you have an FM radio, so you can set what radio you want, or what frequencies rather. So here, let's turn FM radio on. There you go, we got FM radio. Sorry about the terrible music there. But if you want to hear FM radio, you've got it. Here's another way to access the band scope there. CD, I'm not 100% sure what this is for. Okay, so maybe that's the last thing I linked to. I've only had this for 3 weeks, so I still don't know everything about it, but it has that. Here's your DV gateways, terminal or access mode for you computer guys. This picture thing, I'm not 100% sure what it is, but if we hit that, we get this little window down there. I've never seen a use for it, so I haven't dove in too much to see what it is. Here's all our GPS settings, so we can just set everything you want for the GPS. This GPS out, this is cool. Maybe you're in an area where you don't have cell phone coverage or you don't have Wi-Fi and you want to connect this to your computer using some software. You can sync the GPS on this to sync the time on your computer. If you want to use like FT8 and make sure you're on exact time, all kinds of GPS information there. Here's our main settings window where you'll probably spend a lot of time initially when you set this up. Here's where you go to duplex and tone. So if you want to actually set your tone, this is where you're going to do it. And then you also have like your digital stuff and all that. It's your digital tones, etc. Everything's there. Scan, here's where you can go. I like it. Program skip is on by default as well, so I like to turn that off. But everything related to scanning is in there. Your scope, waterfall settings, how you want to do that, whether it's center, fixed, waterfall function, you want to turn that on, waterfall speed, slow or fast. The my call sign, the call sign, my station, and DV set, that's where you're going to kind of set up the radio initially. Again, I'll make subsequent videos on this, but my station, you want to go ahead and put your call sign in there. And by hitting the quick button, you can edit it and save any changes if you want, or you can just back out of it by hitting menu and hit cancel edit. And then again, VFO is our back button. Call sign, here's where you're gonna go for actually like DStar. Again, you can hit the quick button to edit it and all that stuff. Function, you'll spend a lot of time in here probably just setting up different things. Power save if you want that on. Monitor, you can push it and it'll stay on, or you can hold it and it'll stay on. Under display, this is everything pertaining to the display. Your backlight, whether you want it on or off, or on auto when the DC is in. Backlight timer, you can set the time that the backlight stays on. Here's your brightness, you can go bright and dark. You also have contrast, where you can change the contrast of the screen. Like just, there's so many different settings that you can go in and customize this and make it everything you want. Opening message, you can turn that on or off. Voltage power on, so you can see the voltage of the battery when you power the radio on. Single band display, here's where you can change like that GPS information. So right now I just put it on date. So here we can see the date, or I can change it to GPS information, which will give us our latitude and longitude. So there's that. And I like to have it on altitude like that. Sounds here where you change all the beeps and volume select and everything. So you can set the volume separately from VFO-A and VFO-B. You can set the volume for the radio separate, or you can set them all separate. So all kinds of different settings here. There's your time set. It's basically just how you want the time to be synced and how you want to view it. Your UTC offset, which I'm actually -6 here right now, so we'll change that. GPS time correct, keep that on. Date set, so you can change that if you want. Like, you can just do everything on this. It's so easy. And then under memory, here's where you can look at your memories. So I just have all the memories stored under bank 1 under repeaters. And then here you can see all the different ones that I have in here. You can set your call channels, all that stuff, name them, whatever you want to do. Put in your call sign. Again, we can hit the quick button. We can edit it, we can move it, we can do whatever we want with it. And repeater list, this is all the ones that come stock with it. These are just the DStar repeaters. I have not been able to find a way to get the FM repeaters in here, so you should be able to long press DR, and you can. So if we long press DR, and I have where I have DStar selected, I can hit the center button. Here it says repeater list, near repeater, or transmit history. So if I hit near repeater, there is something for FM. I can't find the list, but it exists somewhere, and Icom's website isn't the greatest at helping you out, unfortunately. But if I want to find a near DStar repeater, I hit that. It's going to search through the GPS, and here's all the DStar repeaters that are around me. Now, unfortunately, the closest one here in Bryan is about 40 miles west of me, but this will easily scan through GPS, the database that's stored in here on the SD card, and find a repeater near you. Now, if I could only figure out how to do the FM repeater. So that's just a quick overview. There's a lot of functions that this radio does that I'll make subsequent videos for, but I just wanted to kind of gush over this a little bit. I'm still in the honeymoon stage, if you will. Highly, highly recommend this. This is by far my absolute favorite HT that I've ever owned, and I mean that very, very seriously. So stay tuned. I will make a playlist for this video, for this radio. If you want to see kind of more in-depth things, I'll keep uploading to that playlist as I make more content on this radio. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again on another episode of Ham Radio Tube 73.